First at 9, this Saturday the 5th of October 2024. Neighbourly support. Sri Lanka is committed to protecting Indian security interests, assures the President. Promise of the Executive. The head of state vows to introduce a new constitution to Sri Lanka. Bouncing back. Sri Lanka earns $2.3 billion through tourism during the first 9 months of 2024.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
වැඩිම මනාපෙන් ජනතා තේරීම මෙවරත්.
සුදේශී ඔරිජිනල් කුහුඹම තමයි.
This is Ada Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of Other Derana First at 9. I'm Tarindu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest developments from around the world. Now taking you straight to your top story this evening, President Anura Kumara Dissanayake assured Indian Minister of External Affairs Dr. Subramaniam Jaishankar that Sri Lankan territory would never be allowed to be used in a manner inimical to India's security interests. The President made these remarks during his meeting with the Indian External Affairs Minister who visited Colombo yesterday. According to the Indian High Commission in Colombo, President Dissanayake has also referred to the potential of exporting renewable energy to India, which could help reduce production costs in Sri Lanka and create additional resources. Releasing a statement following the conclusion of the official visit of the Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. Subramaniam Jaishankar to Sri Lanka, the Indian High Commission in Colombo stated that the talks between the Indian External Affairs Minister and his Sri Lankan counterpart Vijitha Herath focused on the modernisation of the Lanka Santure port through an Indian grant of $61.5 million. Dr. Jaishankar has also highlighted that payments for 7 completed line of credit projects totaling $20 million could be converted into grants. According to the statement of the Indian High Commission, the External Affairs Minister has also revealed that India has decided to gift 22 diesel locomotives to Sri Lanka Railways. The statement also noted that discussions related to energy production and transmission, fuel and LNG supply were held between the President and the Indian External Affairs Minister during their meeting at the Presidential Secretariat in Colombo. The Indian High Commission stated that President Anura Kumara Dissanayake referred to the potential of exporting renewable energy to India, which could help reduce production costs in Sri Lanka and create additional resources. The talks between Dr. Jaishankar and President Dissanayake also focused on facilitating Indian investments, the creation of employment in Sri Lanka, and the expansion of the flow of Indian tourists. In respect to Sri Lanka's agreement with international sovereign bondholders, Dr. Jaishankar also confirmed India's support in the Official Creditors Committee and added that his government is willing to expedite the conclusion of its bilateral Memorandum of Understanding with Sri Lanka. Regarding security and defence, President Anura Kumara Dissanayake reiterated that Sri Lankan territory would never be allowed to be used in a manner inimical to India's security interests. With regard to the ethnic issue and the reconciliation process, the Indian High Commission in Colombo noted that the Indian External Affairs Minister reiterated India's support for the aspirations of all communities, including Tamils, for equality, justice, dignity and peace, while maintaining the unity, territorial integrity and sovereignty of Sri Lanka. He highlighted that the full and effective implementation of the 13th Amendment to the Constitution and the early holding of provincial council elections will facilitate these objectives.
Horizon Campus 2024 Intake 2. Register now.
Welcome to Cinnamon Life, South Asia's biggest entertainment hub, where awe awaits.
Meanwhile, Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. Subramaniam Jaishankar says the political trauma Sri Lanka had to experience 2 years ago was a result of both internal and external factors. Addressing a discussion organized by the US think tank Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, the Indian External Affairs Minister said conflicts in a specific region can have serious impacts on other regions of the world, especially the global south.
The international economy today is actually very fragile. And I, as part of my responsibility, travel a lot to parts of the world which has had a very hard time in the last 5 years. where people have seen a visible sort of drop in their quality of life. I mean, you mentioned Sri Lanka. It's a country, I've lived in that country, I've been going there from time to time. I think part of what explained the political shifts there was actually the trauma that they underwent as a result of there were some causal factors were within their control. Maybe some of the choices were not smart, but some of it was not. Now, what the lessons of tensions or conflicts, I mean, what we saw in Ukraine, what we're seeing in the Middle East, that in a globalized world, conflicts and tensions anywhere are going to cause problems everywhere. That it's no longer regional. It can't be, oh, it's out there and it's just between those guys. It's going to come at everybody in some form or the other. I would say today there is a huge, when we do these Global South summits, we've done 3 of them so far. The Global South is extremely concerned about new factors of stress, tension, anxiety, more pressures on the system because they are at the bottom of the chain. I'm part of them. We feel the pain. I do think today people want reassurance. They want stability. Life is tough enough. I mean, nobody wants more anxiety.
Meanwhile, President Anura Kumara Dissanayake revealed plans to form a new constitution that expands the rights of the people and is based on the views and opinions of the public. Speaking with the chief prelate of the Ramanya sect, the president highlighted that several major reforms will also be implemented following the impending general election. President Anura Kumara Dissanayake arrived at the headquarters of the Sri Lanka Ramanya sect in Narahempita this morning, where he met with the chief prelate Agamaha Pandita Most Venerable Makulave Vimalatera and received his blessings. Later, the president also visited the headquarters of the Amarapura sect in Vellavatta to receive blessings from the acting chief prelate, the Most Venerable Karagoda Uyangoda Maitri Murti Thera.
ජනතාවගේ මූලික නීතිය ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාව ඒ ජනතාව ඒ නීතියට එකඟ වෙද නැද්ද කියලා විමසන්න ඕන තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා අපි හදන ව්‍යවස්ථාව ජනමත කරලා සම්මත කර ගැනීම තමයි අපේ අපේක්ෂාව සබලයි.
Now, Deputy Inspector General of Police Dhammika Kumara has been appointed as the new Director of the State Intelligence Service. This appointment comes following the retirement of former Director of the SIS, Major General Suresh Saleh. In 2019, Saleh was appointed as the new Director of the State Intelligence Service. The first instance, a military officer has been appointed as its head. Now, former parliamentarian of the Samagi Jana Balawege, Dr. Harsha De Silva, claims that President Anura Kumara Dissanayake, who promised in his election campaign to renegotiate Sri Lanka's agreement with the International Monetary Fund, will not deliver on his election campaign promise. Meanwhile, leader of the Samagi Jana Balawege, Sajith Premadasa, says that the SJB will work towards the development of the country despite their political setback. With that, here's a look at more comments made on the political arena.
The president's team previously said that they will not follow the IMF agreement. They added that no country has ever prospered by adhering to an IMF deal. They even said that they will alter the sustainability analysis that serves as a foundation for the agreement. However, I believe that they will not even request to change these agreements with the IMF. They didn't hold discussion in this regard for over 1.5 days. They will consent to all terms and a 15% state revenue will be collected as usual. They promised the public one thing but are doing something completely different. I challenge them to hold another discussion with the creditors again at least for once. They will not do that.
පුළුවන් නම් එක දවසක් මේ ණය හිමියන්ට කතා කරන්න නැවත එක සාකච්ඡාවක් කරන්න
We will secure the trust of the people who voted for the National People's Power. As such, measures are already in place to ensure that the promises given to the people of this country come into effect. We request everyone who criticises us to remain patient for a few days.
The president who obtained the people's mandate should be given the opportunity to deliver on his promises. However, as the opposition, we are responsible to fulfill the promises that we made prior to the election. So even as the opposition in parliament, we will support them to perform their duties. However, if they fail to fulfill these objectives, we will join with other opposition parties against them.
මහනුවර දිස්ත්‍රික් නායකත්වය බාර ගන්න කියලා මාලකම්තුමත් නායකතුමත් පැවසුවා. ඉතින් ඒක පක්ෂයට තීන්දුව කරන්න දෙනවා. පක්ෂයෙන් ගන්න තීන්දුවකට මම සහයෝගය ලබා දෙනවා. දැන් 37 නායක මැතිතුමා ඔබතුමා එනවට පොඩි විරුද්ධත්වයක් මොකක් හරි ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවද? දේශපාලනේ ඔය වගේ පොඩි දේවල් තියෙනවනේ. ඉතින් ඔය අභියෝග ඒවට අපි මුහුණ දෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් මට ප්‍රකාශයක් කරන්න බෑ.
In the meantime, the interviews for nominations from the Sri Lanka Pujjana Peramuna for the upcoming general election was held today at the party headquarters.
මේ ආරම්භක දිනේදීම විවිධ ශේෂ්ත්‍රවල විශාල පිරිසක් පොහොට්ටුවෙන් නාම යෝජනා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන අද මෙතනට ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්නවා. දැන් මේ කතාබහට ලක් වෙන උගත් බුද්ධිමත් අය පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට එවන්න කියලා. රටට අවශ්‍ය වෙන ප්‍රායෝගිකවාදී මිනිස්සු. පොතේ ගුරුවරයාලට බෑ පොත විතරයි දන්නේ. පක්ෂේ හැර ඊය මේ මහමැතිවරණයේදී ගන්නෙම නැද්ද? ඔවුන්ට පක්ෂයට එකතු වෙන්න පුළුවන්. නමුත් නාම යෝජනා දීම යන කාරණාවලදී අපි පක්ෂය හැර නොගිය අය සම්බන්ධයෙන් තමයි ප්‍රමුඛතාවය දෙන්නේ. ජනාධිපතිවරණයේ වෙච්ච පසුබෑමත් එක්ක මහමැතිවරණේ කොහොමද බලපායි?
ඉතරම බලපාන ගන්න නැහැ මේකේ මහමැතිවරණේ තියන්නේ ඊට වඩා වෙනස්නේ. ජනාධිපතිවරණේ එක්කෙනෙක් තරඟ කරනවා කොළඹ ඉඳගෙන. මේකෙදි ගමේ කට්ටිය තමයි තරඟ කරන්නේ.
Meanwhile, the Homagama constituency meeting of the Samaga Jana Balawegaya was held under the patronage of the party's leader Sajith Premadasa.
We will do everything within our power to ensure the development of this country. We do not entertain the traditional politics based on envy, cruelty and corruption. We will prioritize the country even if we face political setbacks. Now, former parliamentarian and chairman of the Mai Majan Party, Roshan Ranasinghe, says that his party is ready to support a National People's Power government to secure two-thirds majority in parliament when necessary in order to recover and confiscate stolen assets. Addressing a media briefing of the party, Ranasinghe said that the National People's Power needs to be given the opportunity to secure government power. A group of former provincial councillors and members who represented the local government bodies of the Kegol district joined the Mai Majan Party today. All of them received appointment letters as party organisers within the district from its leader Dilith Jayavira.
The National People's Power should secure the government power. They should have 130 members in parliament. However, we should not allow them to create a two-thirds majority with 150 members. We will support them to secure two-thirds when necessary. In order to recover and confiscate the stolen assets, we are ready to help Andhra Kumara Dissanayaka's government to secure a two-thirds majority. Please let Mai Majan Party lead Sarvajana Balaya to be the main opposition. MJP, which is expecting to contest the parliamentary election, consists of a peer group. Many people talk about catching thieves. I'm the only person who caught thieves while representing the government. Please name any other member who caught thieves while representing the government. We have become infamous as those who caught thieves.
And with that, here's a look at some local news across the island in brief. A 23-year-old youth has been murdered during an attack in Keselvatta over a personal dispute. The fatal attack was captured on a nearby CCTV camera. The victim was identified as a resident of Vallampitiya. The police have arrested a 38-year-old suspect in connection with the incident. Meanwhile, in Petta, a 47-year-old resident of Mahiyangane was stabbed to death with a sharp weapon this morning. A CCTV camera captured footage of the incident. The motive for the murder and the suspect have not been revealed as yet. In other local news, residents of rural villages in Minneriya Polonnaruwa have been affected by human-elephant conflicts. Residents have been complaining of property and crop damages that are caused by wild elephants. The Elephant House Derana World Children's Day celebration, organised by Derana Media Network together with the Sri Lanka Air Force, was held earlier today. The event was held at the Sri Lanka Air Force Museum in Ratmalana. Derana Media Network together with the Sri Lanka Air Force commenced the Elephant House Derana World Children's Day celebration this morning to commemorate World Children's Day. The fun-filled Children's Day celebrations were held at the Sri Lanka Air Force Museum in Ratmalana.
අපේ කාටුන් චරිත ඔක්කොම තින්න සූටින් මාටිනුත් ඔන්න එනවයි කියලා අපිට පේනවා ඈත තියාම අපේ ආරාධිත අමුත්තොත් එක්ක.
Director General of Welfare for Sri Lanka Air Force Air Vice Marshal Suresh Fernando, Base Commander of the Sri Lanka Air Force Base Ratmalana, Group Captain Asela Jayasekara and the management of Derana Media Network also attended the event. The Derana Network made a contribution of 2 million rupees of financial assistance to the Husma project of the Air Force. The event was filled with an atmosphere of joy and delight with a wide array of entertaining activities organised specifically for the young participants. Accordingly, art competitions, games, Air Force shows, dog shows and magic shows were held throughout the day for children.
අද ගොඩක් enjoyable day එකක් අද ගොඩක් සෙල්ලම් කරන්න පුළුවන් අපි ගොඩක් විනෝද වුණා අපිට අද තෑගිත් හම්බුණා මට අද ගොඩක් සතුටුයි දරන රන්දන මාමලට ගොඩක් ස්තුතියි ළමයින්ගේ සතුට තමයි අපේ සතුට දරන මාධ්‍ය ජාලයට අපි ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා දෙමව්පියන් විදියට.
In the evening, a concert attended by Derana Little Stars and Dream Stars was also held.
Remember the dearest hope we built together for little hearts.
I have a heart.
Every year, around 3,000 children are born with heart conditions. Tragically, around 1,500 children don't survive due to the lack of medical facilities. And in 2016, Manusad Derana joined the Little Hearts project that was launched by the Sri Lanka College of Pediatricians, seeking compassionate hearts to help the little hearts in need. The kind-hearted joined hands with us to gift a 12-story cardiac and critical care complex to the nation. This is a token of affection, built brick by brick with the kindness of big hearts. This tower is an embodiment of true humanity. We are Derana. Together, our hearts will beat as one.
Fast track your career from O-levels with eSoft. Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
Welcome back. Now, Sri Lanka's foreign exchange revenue from tourism reached $181 million in September this year. According to the central bank, this revenue represents a significant increase compared to September of last year, which saw $152 million in earnings. Data from the central bank also revealed that revenue earned during the first 9 months of this year has surged by 61.2%, totaling $2.35 billion compared to $1.46 billion during the same period last year. The Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority's weekly report indicated that there were 122,140 tourist arrivals in September, marking a 9.11% increase from 111,938 arrivals in September of the previous year. So far, the number of tourist arrivals for the first 9 months of 2024 stands at 1.48 million, with Sri Lanka expecting a total of 2.3 million tourist arrivals for the year. India topped the list of tourist arrivals in September with 27,884 visitors, followed by China with 9,078 arrivals. Now, job opportunities in the United States increased by the highest amount within the past 6 months in September this year, pointing to a resilient economy that likely does not need the Federal Reserve to deliver large interest rate cuts for the rest of the year. The US Labor Department stated that employers have added 254,000 jobs in September, much more than expected, while the unemployment rate dropped from 4.2% to 4.1%. The report followed on the heels of annual benchmark revisions to national accounts data last week that showed the economy is in much better shape than previously estimated, with upgrades to growth, income, savings and corporate profits. According to the report, bars and restaurants led the hiring in September, adding 69,000 jobs. Retailers and healthcare firms also represent gains, while the manufacturing sector shed positions. However, analysts cautioned that September can be an anomalous month for data and highlighted that next month job figures may be affected by the labor strike at Boeing and damage from Hurricane Helene. The initial public offering of LTL Holdings Limited will be postponed until further notice due to a pending Supreme Court ruling. With that, here's a look at more corporate news in brief.
LTL Holdings Limited announced that its initial public offering will be postponed following instructions from the Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka. The decision comes after a directive from the Colombo Stock Exchange to publish an addendum to the IPO prospectus dated 29th August 2024. The SEC, in a letter dated 1st of October, advised the CSE to hold proceedings related to the IPO until the Supreme Court rules on an interim relief on the 11th of October. In the meantime, DFCC Bank partnered with Courage Compassion Commitment Foundation as the official banking partner and gold sponsor of the 1333 Bikeathon Right to Save Lives campaign 2024. Riders completed a 13-day, 1,333-kilometer journey across Sri Lanka to raise awareness about the 1333 toll-free crisis support hotline and general crucial funds to sustain and expand its life-saving operations. This initiative targets suicide awareness and prevention and prioritizes mental and physical health. In other corporate news, Commercial Bank of Ceylon announced that all other bank customers are also eligible to use the Q Plus payment app powered by the Commercial Bank following its integration within the Just Pay platform of Lanka Pay. Commercial Bank also noted that customers from any domestic bank can download and use the Q Plus payment app for QR code transactions, bill payments, fund transfers and other payment types enabled via Q Plus.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of First at 9. Thank you for joining and have a good night.